Live, we are live, and I'm in Heidi's spot because I set up the StreamYard today. Woohoo! And I changed the color. Um, and now we're here, and Heidi is rolling in. We're so excited. And there's some way for me to make this fill my whole screen. I just did it a second ago.
We're much better working with you guys than technical things. So gotta
There
give
we
us
go.
a little space where we're expanding, where our talents don't lie.
That's right. This is my first time doing this, so I
Good
think
job,
it's pretty good.
Timothy.
I have me not even a minute late.
I want to give you a big appreciation for helping me out last minute and doing this. I really, really appreciate the partnership
I
there
even went
and
and got my haircut.
the flexibility. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Whew. I'm Heidi Love, and I am not on the big island of Hawaii today. I see my sweater. I'm cold. I'm in the Bay Area. I'm in Mill Valley, California, near Sausalito.
What?
Where
I
I'm
didn't
from.
say you could go to the Bay Area. You didn't get approval.
I have slept so good under the covers, bundled up. I love sleeping in the cold. Oh my God, it's done wonders for me to sleep all night. It's been fun. And I'm here with my best friend, Joni, the one that comes on the show. So she's a blast. It just make my heart really happy to be around people I love and that love me. And it feels real good.
Well, I'm glad that you are in the Bay Area. Say hello to all the wonderful people. And if you do, maybe they've shut them down, but if you do get to eat at a good restaurant, think of me.
Okay. What's your favorite restaurant?
San Francisco, a place called Rentaro.
Oh, I have not eaten there. Check it out. I don't know
And
what's
then
open.
in Berkeley, Ipiku, or I think you can get takeout from Sabaichi. These are all Japanese.
Nice. Very nice.
So my name's Timothy Earle. I am on the island of Maui still, and I'm going to stay here for a while. And this is Heidi Love's Recovery Talk. I'm her co-host, and it's ultimately an inspiration from Love Coach Academy, Scott Katamas, and we're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time now because of the time change. And you can go back and watch our videos, which you can find on lovecoachacademy.com. And Heidi has walked us beautifully through codependency, love addiction, love fantasy, avoidant tendencies, boundaries, you name it, we've covered it. Depression, all kinds of different things, chemicals, sexual addiction. And last week we started in on the 5 elements of, help me out, Heidi.
Last week we started in on balancing life and the 5 stages that we go through in our life cycle. And we did 3 of them last week, and we'll give a very brief overview, but please go back to last week and listen to it. It's really cool information. It's pretty pertinent to everybody. It doesn't matter if you're an addict or not. It applies. And it's fun material to go through. So last week we went through, let me tell you some of the things that this will help before we jump into what it was. So if you're someone who is a big visionary and you're always having new ideas and all these great inspirations, but maybe have a hard time deciding what action to take to get it done, or maybe you're like a drill sergeant and you're not creative in the process, or maybe you never complete anything, you just go on to the next new idea. These are some of the ways that we can become unbalanced in our life cycle. Also, like, I'm a person that does love to start new projects. I'm all about action. I skip over the creativity a little bit because I'm one of those, like, let's get the shit done kind of people. And then I don't celebrate completions. I have a really hard time letting go, and I'm on to the next thing, like Taskmaster. And I really learned in this process that each phase is beautiful and each phase deserves balance, and completions are just as important as, and celebrating or mourning or, moving through an ending is just as important as a new beginning. And that is something this process taught me and that I treasure now, because I liked to skip over things. I want it done yesterday. I want to be somewhere I'm not. I mean, that's part of an addict personality. I think most of you that are addicts can agree or can relate. Yeah.
So in my language, what Heidi's been walking us through is a process by which we can actually manifest in a balanced way all kinds of different things. We can live our life in a balanced way, but really also follow these different steps to manifest things that we desire, that we want, including that phase where we give to ourselves the completion of something and take the time to really relish it. So you can look at it kind of from both a way of living and also a way of creating.
And I want to say hi to Melanie, who I see on. Thanks for being here. It's so great to have you here. And hi, Byron. And I'm not sure who else is on. I see a bunch of people on the call, but those are people that chatted in the chat box. So if you're on Facebook, you can actually make comments. We can read them while we're live on the talk, and you can ask us questions. You can make comments. You can give feedback or tell part of your story, and we'll read it. I try to cover them as much as I can. So if you see me looking distracted, I'm just being with you in the chat box. And also, we love to have people live on our talk, and you can get a hold of Timothy or I if you're interested in doing that, and we can give you support around many different topics. But yeah, get a hold of one of us and we'll get you on. Hi, Noreen. Great to have you here. We have a comment. I've been dealing with cutters, self-harm females. Yeah. I was just talking with somebody about that yesterday, and in my categories of addiction, or how I name them, I like to name things to tame things. Thank you, Joni. I got tea delivered. I feel so loved. That there are process addictions and substance addictions. And this is my definition. Maybe some other people in the world, it's not law, it's not medical terms. It's just how I break things down, because I like to be able to name it, tame it. So a process addiction is more like bulimia, anorexia, sex addiction, codependency, cutting, porn, video games, anything that is not a substance that you're putting into your body. So bulimia qualifies for both in my eyes, because you are using a substance and you are using a process. So like with any addiction, it's confusing to the person that's not doing it. It's confusing to the person that's doing it, and it's really painful to those around. So we may go into that a little bit tonight. And if you have specific questions about it, please ask. And my heart goes out to you. It's just heartbreaking to watch anyone we love hurt themselves. And that's a very real way that's seen, and the body's being hurt, and it's painful.
Yeah, in my experience, people who harm themselves physically are often in a great deal of pain and don't know how to express that pain in another way. And so cutting or beating their head on something or burning themselves can often be a way of releasing that pain. And then unfortunately, sometimes I've worked with people who learn to do that through peer pressure or through peer culture. Mm-hmm. And had they not come in contact with those particular people, they might have learned a different way of expressing. But it's important to try and demystify it and kind of meet the person or people in that pain. And again, I think it's really good to get a therapist or a coach or somebody who has worked with people like that to assist if the person's willing. It's a hard one when they're not really willing and they still want to hide it, or not own it. It can be difficult. But I found most people I've worked with that once they got exposed or exposed themselves, admitted that they were doing this, they were ready to get help. And fortunately, I find it's a pretty easy thing to learn how to express and feel our feelings and move away from inflicting harm upon ourselves.
Yeah. There's also a physical element. I love what you're saying, that a lot of times there's so much pain. It's like, how do we let go of this pain, or how do we deflect the pain? And that's a lot what addiction is. I mean, if you're an addict and you're an alcoholic, I mean, yes, we run away from feelings or pain. And yes, we drink because the sun came up. And yes, we drink because we were happy. And yes, we drink because we were sad. So there's not like one reason. Not everybody is only treating pain, but oftentimes we are treating feelings of uncomfortability, and even excitement can be uncomfortable. Guilt can be uncomfortable. Shame, feelings are uncomfortable a lot to addicts. And if you are in extreme pain and you are cutting, the process addiction is soothing the pain, but also all addictions produce chemicals in our brain: dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin. So we are treating ourselves by altering our chemicals in a way to meet a need for comfort or soothing. I like to call them soothers. They're all soothing something. And we're doing it in a way that is harmful to us and harmful to others. And there are many, many methods to meet that need of being soothed without harming yourself and others. And that's something Timothy and I both work a lot with ourselves and with others. So please reach out and get help. I'm going to look at the comments here, and then we'll move into our material. Hooray for Heidi and Timothy, new time, it says. And then the comment is, I actually cut myself in front of her to show her how I felt witnessing her do it. I think it worked and she stopped. I had a daughter that used to bite all the time, and I bit her back and she stopped. I don't know how that works with addiction, but I know that that can make sense sometimes. And it probably was terrifying for her to see you hurt herself, and maybe brought her out of herself in a way. I haven't used that treatment myself, but if it's successful, so good.
And again, just modeling how we feel our feelings or express, and showing that it's okay to feel these different things can be really helpful as well. And like we said earlier, getting some help with someone more removed from the situation who can assist to create a space where people can communicate, feel their feelings, so important.
And I do know with any addict that I've ever worked with, shaming them or making them wrong or telling them what to do or micromanaging I have never seen be successful. So loving, healthy boundaries, detachment, encouragement, as much as you can, loving the person, separating the addiction from the person. They are not that. That's not who they are. It's what they're doing, and they're not bad. It's harmful what they're doing. And as much as you can separate that, it's helpful to you and them. I mean, there's so many things we could go through here, but maybe we'll do a talk about that.
Self-harm.
Yes, there's so many ways that we do that. Communicating the consequences. So letting them know, it's okay to let people know how it impacts you when they're harming themselves. Like, how does it impact you? What does it bring up for you? What feelings do you have watching someone harm themselves? Does it make you afraid? Does it make you angry? Does it make you nervous? Do you feel guilty, like you somehow caused it? I mean, really, in everything we do, whether it's relationship or addiction or anything, the answer is always bringing it back to us, getting self-aware of where we're at first, and then bridging out. Oftentimes we go out and we never get in, or we are out here trying to manage everything, not aware of what's the impact on us or how we're acting or why we're acting. So it's very important to look at what is coming up for you.
And person in the chat room says that they don't really understand self-harm, and that's very normal for people who can express themselves or don't have a control issue. Sometimes people can be cutting on themselves to deal with a sense of being overwhelmed or out of control. Hard for them to understand that. And same with addiction. Someone who's had sex addiction understands someone who's dealing with sex addiction. And in fact, I think if you've had sex addiction, you probably always have it. And it's helpful to be involved with other people who have overcome whatever the behavior is, because you know they understand. And because they've walked through a path to get to the other side, it helps you, the person harming themselves, know that, wow, I'm talking to other people who have had this issue and have moved past it. And as Heidi said, really important to remember that we are not our issues. We are way more than our behaviors. And that's, someone can have a really difficult addiction, and that doesn't mean that they're worthless or that they're not of value. Yeah, I understand. It's really difficult to understand. Let's do this. Let's do a talk. And if you that are chatting in the chat box about this want to be on our talk, then email Heidi you can go to HeidiLove.com and find her email her, and we could chat a little bit, and we could craft a whole show on self-harm, and maybe we could have you on for part of it. Because I think there are plenty of parents, plenty of parental guidance people who have no understanding of why is my son or my daughter doing this. Mm-hmm. And it can be very mysterious and overwhelming and uncomfortable. So we could do a whole talk on it. Hello, Tia Emily from Thailand. Welcome.
Yeah, welcome. People all over the nation. I love it. All over the... We probably have people all over the universe. We just can't see them all. Can I share your life? Yes, share life with us today. Yes, share the live talk if that's what you're asking. Share.
Yeah. We do appreciate.
I'd like to be with other people.
Yeah, we do appreciate you sharing to your other platforms, groups, and things. It means a lot to us. And again, just reminding you, if you want to catch up on what we're about to talk about starting right now, you can watch the video from last week, but we're going to summarize the first 3 of the 5 kind of principles.
So there are 5 phases in the life cycle, and last week that's recorded. Number 1 is new beginnings. So that's the ether chakra, the place where it's the void, the silence, the apparent chaos. It can feel like that. It's the mystery, but it's a place where inspiration from the higher chakras comes in, and it's not going out yet. It's just that place of meditation and silence where that inspiration is percolating. Number 2 is taking it down into the heart chakra, and this is where the inspiration becomes more in the physical realm, and what really looking at in the heart chakra, what is your intention with this inspiration? What is the intended outcome? Are you in line with your intention? Because then you move into the 3rd phase, which is action. And if you don't have an intention, you're not going to be taking action that matches it. So if you know what your vision is, your purpose, your intention, then you can go into action and ask yourself, are these actions bringing me closer to my vision and my intention, or farther away? And that's a really short summary of those 3. But again, we went into detail. So go to the last call and you can catch up on it. But we're going to move into number 4 and 5 tonight. So the 4th phase of our life cycle is represented by the frequency of water. This is below your belly button and above your pubic bone and your sacrum, your coccyx, your low back. That's where the chakra is on your physical body. It's the color orange. the water aspect of the life cycle is creative manifestation. So you went into action and now you're in creative manifestation. The water phase of our life cycle is where all the parts come together and form the whole. So you take the vision, the inspiration, the action, and bring it into the womb space that basically creates your new baby. Whatever you're bringing into fruition, whatever you're manifesting, whatever you're creating. And when this is out of balance, it's not fun to create. It's begrudging, or you're, like I said, like the taskmaster, or you don't get anything done and you don't make it to the creative process because you're just in the daydream all the time. You're not actually in action about it. But the creative process is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to bring in all those parts. You want to riff on that, Timothy?
I mean, I think that as a man, I'm not able to do the most biological creative thing that a female can do, right? So there's an idea between two people to create a child. It comes into where we speak it up, ideally. We make a decision to have a child together, and the process begins, but it's the female who channels through literally all the thoughts, the voice, the agreements, the will, and then carries for 9 months and then births this child and has this complete experience. And as men and women, I think all of us are doing this birthing process, if we use the child analogy, with music or art or a project at work or in some form or another. And when we skip over one step of this process, often we can have difficulty getting it to actually happen, or we forget to appreciate it after it does, or it doesn't happen in a way that's fulfilling to us. And so just reminding us, so important to move through these elemental phases of being and of creating in order to have what I would call a successful, enjoyable experience or life. And that can be as simple as just a conversation with someone, that we're wanting to have a particular type of conversation. We get to the point where we're actually voicing it with the other person, and that we're actually utilizing all aspects of ourselves, these different elements, in order to craft that conversation, which includes empathy, listening, because we've got the heart involved. Let's call it the womb creative source, and then this energy force, this like bringing something into existence, to try to manifest or create something without that aspect of yourself. I don't even know how you would do it. It just would seem very difficult to me. Whereas when you can engage the lower energy sources in your body and actually utilize the chi, if we want to use a word like that, or your root energy, and bring that up through all of the other aspects and up through the heart, then again, we're having an easier time, I believe, embodying who we really are, expressing ourselves, manifesting things. Our life is more grounded. We're less ethereal, so more balance.
Yeah, I like the balance and that it takes all parts, because often when we're unbalanced in our life cycle phase, we're unbalanced in our beliefs too. And we can have very black and white thinking. And many people are like, well, you can't, I'm going to use the baby analogy. It doesn't matter if you have kids or don't have kids. And we're not talking about making babies here. We're talking about creating a life cycle, whatever it is, whether it's making a kid or making a new project or brushing your teeth or making your bed. We go through all these phases very quickly in some of those activities, but we do go through all them. With the womb space, you might think, oh, well, you can't make a manifestation or a baby without the female body. And that's not true, because you also can't make a baby without the energy that comes in from the male energy or the sperm, right? So this is the creative process. I mean, we're talking about sexual energy that comes here and turns into a baby, but it's that same energy in your body. And I will tell you, this is a personal thing I'm going to tell you. I've done a lot of meditations with sexual energy, and I have manifested more powerfully using that area than I ever have in any other kind of manifestation stuff, especially never happens in my head for me. So that's a whole nother topic. We're getting all these topics today. Can somebody please make a list? Manifesting through sexual energy. So having all the pieces come together. And in this aspect, we're talking about bringing the vision, the inspiration, the intention, the correct actions that match the intention with the creativity. So that's like the womb and the sperm and
Or if we want to take it away from child, but it's exactly what she just said. It could be a piece of music that you're crafting, or a story that you're writing, or a fence that you're building, or washing the car, or remembering to go through a certain process just to pick out a bouquet of flowers and bring that back to your beloved. We are constantly manifesting, but paying attention to the thought, vision, and how we articulate it and what we're articulating. You can think of your grandmother, at least mine, often saying, think before you speak, Timothy, right? Mm-hmm. And think before we create, before we manifest. What are we doing with our creative life force energy? How are we dissipating it? And addiction is often an area where we're just kind of throwing away our energy for various reasons. And I think for those of us that have been addicts, as we recover and we live a life of recovery, we begin to bring more energy into other areas of our creative life force, and we start to produce and do things that we just didn't have the energy for before.
Let's do an experiment with our water chakra. So I'm going to have you guys stand up at home, and Timothy and I are going to demonstrate this, and he has no idea what I'm going to do right now. So I love that you're always game, Timothy. So our water chakra, again, I'm going to show you right here, the pelvis and the belly. It's this whole area. So the hips, right? It's where the womb would be on a man, where the hips are on a woman. And I don't care about gender. Anyway, it's right here. So I'm going to have you stand up at home, and I want you to say something you're inspired about. So I'm going to have Timothy say something he's inspired about. And while he's going to do it, I'm going to have him be really weak, like putting his pelvic back. I don't know if you guys can see me, but like putting it back. So he's leaning forward and his pelvis is back, and he's going to look at me and tell me something he's really inspired about.
I am really inspired about light touch.
Light touch. Okay. So now I'm going to have you come into that creative center and kind of like thrust while you're telling me what you're inspired about.
I am very inspired about light touch.
Did you guys hear the difference? So I'm going to do one too. And we're not acting. This is really, didn't know what I was doing. So do it at home. Try it at home. Like actually say something out loud you're inspired about with your pelvis back and you're kind of hunched forward, and then use your hips and get into it. It just excites you. It moves that energy up. So I am really inspired. So I'm going to lean back. I'm really inspired that I'm on the mainland and that I get to see my family. And you can tell that I'm inspired, but if I use my pelvis and creative, like I'm actually so happy right now. I haven't been this happy in a long time, and I get to see my family. Anyway, try it. There's a lot of power in that center, and there's a lot of experiments you can do with that. But that is where we create from in the physical form. You know, we create a lot up here, but
it makes the creative process enjoyable. It makes it easier. It makes it more fun. Obstacles don't seem like obstacles. They just seem like things that have to be dealt with, and you keep moving along. And I think when you're bringing in that force, that energy that Heidi's talking about, erotic energy, creative energy, whatever words are comfortable to you, that you are energizing yourself in such a way that mistakes and failures are not such. They are just aspects of the journey that need to be examined and dealt with, and you keep going. And if you fall down, you get up and you keep moving forward. And often you may have had a destination in mind, a goal, a creative project, a relationship, whatever it was, and all of a sudden you find yourself over somewhere else, but it's fulfilling. It meets all of the original criteria that were behind your vision. So the mystery is always unfolding, but having that energy available to you, moving it through your heart, up and out your voice, like you just saw Heidi do. Oh, she's going to have a much better time in California than if she's head first, hips back, kind of stuck, her heart shut down. And she's like, oh, I'm so happy to be here and see my family, as opposed to, oh my God, I'm so happy. I can't wait to see my family.
Yeah. Try it, guys. If you don't believe us, try it yourself. I'm going to read some of these really great comments, and I appreciate you guys chatting with us in the box. So it says, there's one I wanted to read. It might be back a little bit. My dead ex opened my heart chakra, and wow, vulnerable. And I don't know what happened, but I know that I have said my heart was broken wide open from grief. So I'm just going to say that right now. And then we have female energy and spirit is amazing. I believe God is a woman, LOL. Oh my God, girlfriend and I did that. So I'm assuming like the pelvic energy or meditating, manifesting in sexual energy, that ascended us to a higher vibration. It is true, tried and true. I've tried it a lot. And that meditative energy mixed with the sexual energy is amazing. Getting people to open up and grab the microphone, go live and sing and rap, like music, getting the, oh, that is how I don't know, because sometimes comments you have to like fill in the blanks, but I'm thinking who commented that music is that's a way you get people getting into their pelvic chakra and getting alive and grabbing the microphone and really expressing that creative energy. And music is a beautiful demonstration of that for sure.
There's
and you see that a lot on stage.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a form of meditation that involves clenching the diaphragm, the perineum, the lowest part of the root chakra, the muscles that are there. So you clench that, clench the belly inward. You're clenching in the lower part of the upper part of the abdomen, and you're breathing into that area, but you're not letting the breath expand. And it's coming all the way up into your chest. And you imagine that energy coming all the way up into the top of your head, and you're holding the vision that you have at the same time. And these are deep, long breaths. It's another way of engaging all aspects of these 5 elements. And it's kind of what I see as the way of seeding things before we actually begin the project and begin to voice it and begin to take action. We're actually using this lower abdomen. The 2 lower chakras are held, and we're breathing into the upper ones, and we're increasing our vibration as we hold this vision and allow it to kind of unfurl in the quantum field, if you will. Beautiful. You might try it. There's a great book by Joe Dispenza where he goes over this process.
Mm-hmm. So that brings us into the 5th and final phase of the life cycle, which is represented. Oops, my thing is small, guys. I have little notes here, and it's on my phone instead of on paper. The frequency of Earth, and it's where the coccyx is, and right below the perineum, and right in between the upper thighs. That's where the root, and then it goes down into the ground. But it's not so much our legs, it's just that area where the kundalini energy is. The life cycle is complete when we manifest our experience. When the outcome of our intentions and actions, or when one phase of the experience comes to a close and prepares us for the new beginning of the next phase. Earth requires that we let go of what we no longer need from our past experiences. So it's also a reconciliation process. What lessons do we want to learn and take with us? What do we need to let go of and empty out? Without the letting go of past painful relationships, experiences, or even our regrets, it's difficult to recycle into new beginnings with vitality and presence. Often I've done this because I was somebody that really didn't do the completion phase. I love to do things and be in action and create 50,000 things. Not so much anymore. But I was exhausted because I didn't do the letting go, because I didn't clean off the plate before I put more stuff on it. So my plate got fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller, right? So emptying out is just as important as a new beginning. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, just one of the things I like to pay attention to now that I'm over 50 is, am I forcing something? Am I pushing something into existence? Is it a frustrating experience for me? And we talked about this in the last call. That's when I slow down, let go, come back into my heart, and come back into listening and envisioning and really making sure, is this something that actually wants to be birthed or created? Is it something that is wanting to be in the field of existence? Because I find when everything's in alignment, the resources are there, the right people are there, it just flows. And that doesn't mean to quit when it gets a little hard, but it means to slow down and take the time to, in a way, do a reset and come back hopefully into a place where all 5 elements are in alignment and it becomes an easier thing. There are some things I have walked away from because as I started them, I realized, I don't really need to create this, and it's not flowing, it's not easy. I could come back to it later in life, or it's just not important to me, actually. I don't need to do that. And I'm not feeling that the universe or the people around me are really wanting it to occur. And so let it go.
I like it. So I want you guys to think about in the chat box right now, if you're thinking about the 5 phases, which one do you know you're out of balance in? And I'll read them again. So I want you to type in the chat box one of them. You might be out of balance in more than one, but one that you know that you feel out of balance in. And out of balance could be you live in it way too much and you don't do the other ones, or you're really weak in it, meaning you don't kind of go there. You might skip over it. So just type one. So 1 is new beginnings. 2 is inspiration and intention. 3 is action, like taking the actions. 4 is creation, bringing all that together. And 5 is completion. And we're going to talk more about completion, but I just am curious. I'd love for you guys to type one of those in. Which one do you know you feel unbalanced in?
I don't know which one it is. Maybe you can help me out, Heidi, but I definitely find myself overextending, taking on too many projects and trying to do too many things at once. And I find that the answer there for me is in the heart space, to just slow down and feel in there. And usually then I can get in tune with kind of my higher wisdom and go, okay, this needs to go, that needs to go. But it feels like if I could slow down more before I even commit and really check it out in my heart space, then I would be able to say, no, I'm not available for that. And I would avoid kind of getting halfway down the road with somebody. But recently, for example, I've been just readily available for anybody who wants to move to Hawaii or wants to get some tour guide information. And finally, I realized I don't have the bandwidth for this anymore. So I've decided that I'm available for that as a consultant and people can pay me, but I'm no longer available as a free service. And that felt great. It felt like bringing energy back into my projects.
And great boundaries too. So may I
Mhm.
give you feedback from what you shared?
Yeah,
Okay.
please.
So from what I'm hearing, if I heard you say it, that when you can start so many things and get spread a bit thin, and it sounds like you take action on a lot of things, and then you might go back into your heart space and really get clear and then be able to sift some of them out. Is that what I heard?
Mhm.
Okay. So my feedback, if that's what I heard, would be that you might be overactive in the visionary, like a lot of inspiration, right? And being comfortable in the void and in the silence and figuring out new things. And from that inspiring space. And you might skip the heart space until you force yourself to go back. So I'm imagining maybe you get a little bit clear, but then jump into action before really sinking in and knowing a clear vision, purpose, what is the intended outcome I want from this, and really sitting in that heart space long enough to know whether you want to go into action or not, right? And then it's like you go into action and then back up, which is fine. It's a way to balance yourself back out.
It's
But that's
yeah,
what
it's
I
better.
heard.
It's better than before, where I used to think, well, I gave my word, I said I would do it. I've got to
Have
just
to.
hang in there until I die. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh no, I don't have to do that. But I like what you're saying, like just slowing down a little bit more, bringing the vision down into the heart, really feeling it in the belly and in the body, and going, is this in alignment? And do I want to move forward?
Um,
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, well, I was just looking at the comments, which is probably what you were about to do. I don't understand some of them, so I'll let you do it.
Uh, Somebody said completion, so they listened well. Good job for listening and posting which one you feel unbalanced in, and then getting to the root of the problem. And the root is in the completions, like really understanding. And that's part of the reconciliation process, reconciling everything you went through, getting to the root of the problem, choosing what you want to do again and what you don't want to do again, celebrating your successes, mourning your regrets, and that's part of completions. So I think you can give me feedback, Timothy, if you want to, or not. But I think I, over the years, have done different things. But I think right now, and most always, I struggle the most in the water and the root, in really enjoying the creativity, because I'm always in a hurry. I try to slow down, but I just, it's my nature to get things done. And like part of my perfectionism is performing to have success. So the water and then the root, I really have a hard time letting go of things. I have been a person, I've talked about this in the codependency or the avoidant tendency. Like if I know something's over, I'll just cut it off, never talk again. I'm out of the state. I don't want to be like that anymore. And I make a big effort not to, but that's my natural, like that would be my go-to. So I don't really go through the completion. And it's painful for people. It's painful for me too, especially if it's dealing with a human, but also projects. I never get what I want out of it, or take the energy into a new beginning. And I was often one of those people exhausted from doing a completing project. And then I don't want to start something new again. And that's kind of where it's taken me to, that imbalance.
Yeah, what I hear is that it's taking you to a burnout in a way. I really understand that, getting to a place where it's just, I don't want to do anything or very little or only what I want, not what anybody else wants. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so kind of maybe doing smaller bite size in a way, things that I'm going to do that, I'm going to complete that, and I'm going to relish in the completion of it, whether it's a garden bed or a dinner or a walk with a friend, or these are lots of things. There's lots of things I do where I know I've moved through all the elements, and I know it only has like a day or a week or an hour window, and it's complete. And then I really let myself enjoy the completion of it. And if it feels really good, then often I'll recommit to doing that particular thing with that person or that project again. For example, recovery talk. It's something that is very fulfilling, and I enjoy all the steps of it, and I enjoy the completion of it, and I'm grateful for it. And so typically at the end of every talk, there is a sense of, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this with you.
Me too. Me too. I love that you said that. I get energized and alive, and I love, yeah, it's something that I love. Even when I don't feel it, I always feel it by the end. So in the final phase, like what are some of the ways we can be more eloquent in our completion, or we can enjoy it or learn from it or have it or experience it? And one of the ways is celebrating successes. So really naming them, really acknowledging yourself, acknowledging others, acknowledging the project, the creative process, acknowledging all the phases, and then also naming your regrets, naming what you wouldn't want to repeat if you do a similar thing, learning the lessons and naming it and not having shame. You can name the regret, it diffuses the energy of the regret. And I say regret because it's not I don't really believe in things are bad or you make huge mistakes. I think I don't know, we fall down and skin our knees and we mend them and we get up and do it again. So how do we avoid that rock that made us trip? That's part of the completion process. And so those are some ways. Do you have any ways you want to throw out that can help the completion process?
I really like what you said about the celebrating. It's good to review regrets or things that we might do differently, especially if we're going to do a similar type of project again. So in business or at an organization, we're often repeating the same cycle over and over because we make widgets, and the way we make widgets is this way. And so if we can look at, okay, this year we made so many widgets, how can we increase widgets? And, and so we look at all of the different ways we can improve, which regrets could fall under. We could have improved this, and then I wouldn't have that regret. But how many times do we celebrate our successes? I would bet that we are more focused in this critical, analytical, capitalist society, America, that we live in. And school teaches us this, lots of different formats teach us this, to be analytical, to criticize. And there's so much value in emphasizing what is working, where we did enjoy it. And often by focusing there, all that other stuff takes care of itself. I'm not saying that we shouldn't look at like, well, we would have had even a better time if we'd actually had 4 more sets of tires for the race car, because we only got to do half the competition. Everybody else had more tires and we ran through ours, really quickly. Okay, that's important if you're going to race again. But what did you enjoy? Why do you want to race that car again? And celebrating that. And in our society, often if we lose or if we don't accomplish the thing at 100%, then 86% doesn't count. We're not going to celebrate it. And I think it's great to celebrate that we even got up to that.
Yes, celebration and appreciation and acknowledgement is so important. I think that's something that's really precious with couples. Like oftentimes when couples come to me, one of the complaints each of them has is they're not acknowledged or appreciated enough. And I think it's easy to get lazy with that in the family system and to forget about doing it. And it's a really simple practice to say thank you for everything, or for everything you see or that you can be thankful for or acknowledge, because we oftentimes don't verbalize it. And those little words just lift somebody up. Thank you for cooking. Thank you for thinking of me on the way home and bringing coffee. Thank you for smiling at me this morning. Whatever it was, any little thing, it feels good. It feels good to say it, and it feels good to receive it.
My favorite is when someone tells me, Timothy, I love you, and here's why. So then they give you appreciations. Because love is great. It's nice to feel loved, but it's so nice to be seen for something that we actually are or that we're doing. And I have a housemate who, for my birthday, is really seeing me and has gifted me gifts that acknowledge what he sees I already have, or areas that he thinks I might be interested in moving towards. And wow, I feel loved through that appreciation and being seen. Whereas if he just said, "Hey, I love you, happy birthday," it'd be different than the bracelet that he gave me or the meditation beads. These are things that he knows I practice, and so he gave me tools, and I feel seen. I feel like, oh wow, my housemate really knows me. I feel loved. I feel appreciated, and it makes me want to meditate more. It makes me want to engage with him around these things that he also is passionate around. So
it's beautiful. I muted myself. So I want to go through those 5 phases one more time. And we gave you a lot of modalities. So again, if you got something out of today's talk and you didn't hear the first one, go back and listen to last week's. It's on both of our feeds last Tuesday. So it's ether, new beginnings, the silence, the void, the heart, inspiration, intention, the solar plexus, intentional action or right action, the water chakra, which is the creative process, and then the root chakra, which is endings and completions. So can you talk for a second? I want to grab somebody.
Yes. There is a way, and this is just planting a seed for those of you that are interested in manifestation. There is a way of accessing your inner world through meditation, mindfulness, that allows you to seed and create what it is you would like to manifest with more ease than when you're doing it in the traditional way of thinking something, speaking something, and then creating actions to make it happen. And here we go. We've got a friend.
Whose birthday?
Whose birthday is it?
It's my first birthday.
It's yours. It's yours. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Joni Max.
It's Byron saying Scorpio and Cancer, both water signs, me and my girlfriend. Me too. I'm Scorpio, Cancer moon, Leo sun, or Leo rising sign is Scorpio.
Funny because you're Scorpio and I'm a Cancer.
Yeah.
And we're not a couple, by the way. But
yes, I think someone asked, are we in a long-term relationship? No, we're not.
I know, I was confused.
Yeah. We are friends. We're both in different forms of relationship with in Heidi's case, with her partner, and in my case, partners.
So Timothy and I are co-teachers and very good friends, and we support each other with the work that we support others with. And we have, that's a gift. That's a gift to me. So I appreciate your friendship and being a colleague and learning from you. Like, I look at you as a friend, a mentor, a student, a teacher, both, all that. Yeah.
Likewise. Sacred mirror right back at you. Noreen says she's a Leo. Byron, thank you for wishing me a good day. And yeah, there's been some energy in the chat on like, what is a boyfriend? What's a husband? And being single or being in relationship. And I think a couple of things have come out of today that we ought to do a talk on self-harm, since it is a addictive behavioral process. And I think we could also do one on what it's like to be single and want to be in relationship, and what is relationship?
What are the options of relationships? Yeah. What are the different definitions we know? Like, That would be really fun. What do people believe about marriage? What's the group consciousness and what's your belief? What is a partnership? What do you think a relationship should be? Let's diffuse some of those things, because I know I can't speak for Timothy, but I think we both have a similar view as far as helping people find what is their truth and living in integrity with it. And there's a lot of different truths out there.
Yes, yes. And I think the invitation, Heidi or I, when we're working with people, is always, where is the belief coming from? What emotional quality is behind it, or what need is it fulfilling? Because sometimes when we look at where it comes from, we go back to our family of origin, or to a thing that happened in our life, or just the influence of media, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes we then come to a place where we go, oh, I don't want to choose that. I want to choose something different. And most of us in relationship are not moving through this 5 elemental process. We're accepting the vision of an outside source placed upon us. And that's okay if that's in alignment. But I think it's always better when we're wanting to, especially when we're single and we're wanting to come into a relationship, to get really clear on, what are our core values around relationship? What's the vision we have? What's ours? And how do we then find someone who resonates in a similar way with us? And so I think that'd be good, is defining relationship, and part 2, how to manifest, kind of taking what we talked about today, but how do you manifest a relationship that works for you, as opposed to the kind that Heidi and I have both been in, where we're like, how did I get here?
Oh my gosh. So in lieu of that, if you are wanting support now around harming yourself or other people doing self-harm, and being able to be with that or understand it or help with it, or any of the other topics we talk about, Timothy and I both offer complimentary intake sessions. I call it a relationship discovery session. They're 20 to 30-minute sessions that are free to you. And the reason that we do that is we don't love to work with people that aren't a fit. And if we can't help you, we'll refer you to somebody else. So we like that time to really get clear on where you're at and where you're wanting to go. And then look at, are we a fit to working together? We tell you how we work together. You can ask us any questions, and we usually give you some great tools to use right away if you're pretty clear what you're needing too. So reach out to us. Our websites have been scrolling across the bottom. You can also private message us on either of our Facebook pages, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And I am traveling next Tuesday, and I haven't talked to you about this. I had to change my flight because my daughter's coming in from Germany. So I don't know if we should just skip Thanksgiving week, or if you want to do it, or if we should do it a different time. So maybe we'll decide and let them know, or if you know right now, we could say something on the spot.
It feels right to skip Thanksgiving week, and then we'll start afresh. And I'll see if I can't put together something that says that, and or you can do the same. We'll send it to each other, and then we'll send that out next week like we normally do, reminding people it's Thanksgiving week. We're skipping the week.
Yeah, so we'll
That's
just
how I feel right now. This could change.
Okay, we'll tell you if there's a special episode on a different day. But next week, next Tuesday, I will be on a flight. Timothy will be doing something fun, I hope. And we won't be with you on Recovery Talk next Tuesday. But the following Tuesday, we will be there 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we have some great topics coming up. So join us, share us with your friends. You can send any of these lives, even any of the past ones you listen to. If you think, oh my gosh, my friend needs to hear this, please share. We appreciate that, and we appreciate all of you being here. Byron, Tia, if I'm missing Noreen, love that you're here, and Melanie, love that you got on. And again, some of you didn't chat, so I can't shout out your name, but I see a bunch of people on the call tonight. So thank you so much for being here. We love you, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Bye-bye.
And happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate it. And if you don't, happy week anyway. All right.
Oh.